The rain-soaked streets of a quiet British village glistened under the dim glow of the street lamps as a woman entered a place she hoped would become her haven. After years of noise, overwhelming crowds, and heartbreak in London, she longed for silence, a silence she believed she could trust. Her new home stood at the end of a lonely lane, an old Victorian house with ivy crawling up the brick walls like nature trying to reclaim what once belonged to it. Its windows were tall but dark, reflecting no sign of life. Yet, the woman convinced herself that the stillness was exactly what she needed. She walked through the rooms with tired eyes that longed for rest. The scent of old wood, dust, and time filled the air, but she found comfort in it. The floors creaked softly under her feet, as if whispering the stories of people who once lived there. She brushed her fingers along the shelves, imagining memories she would soon create. Despite the age of the house, everything seemed intact except for a single attic door that had been sealed shut long ago. She assumed it was nothing more than old storage and ignored it. Her first night arrived swiftly. The wind tapped against the windows, and the moonlight struggled through thick clouds. She placed a lamp beside her bed and let it bathe the room in a warm glow. It was the first time she had slept entirely alone in years, without anyone expecting her presence or judging her emotions. She believed peace had finally found her. Just as she drifted into sleep, a soft movement brushed her senses awake. Her eyes fluttered open. First, she thought she was still dreaming. But no, she saw it clearly. A small shadow stretched across the hallway floor. The form was unmistakably that of a child, swift and playful, running from one room to another. Her heartbeat quickened. She sat up, staring into the silent darkness. She told herself it had to be her imagination. Unfamiliar houses always played tricks on tired minds. She forced herself to lie back down, pretending she felt safe. The next day, she explored every room again just to reassure herself. Nothing seemed unusual. The house was still and quiet, just as she wanted. She spent the day arranging her belongings and going into town for groceries. The villagers were polite, though strangely curious about her choice of home. Their smiles held something concealed, a hesitation, a discomfort. One elderly woman asked if she had found a better place yet, as if it were natural for someone to move out quickly. But nobody explained why. As days passed, the strange nightly moments became more frequent. Soft footsteps drifted through the hallways. Gentle laughter echoed faintly, as if a child enjoyed a secret game. Toys she didn't own rolled across the floorboards, stopping just before her feet. Her fear grew sharper. Something wasn't right, but she tried to deny it. One afternoon, she stepped outside to tend her garden and noticed the older neighbor carefully watching her with a sad expression. When the woman attempted polite conversation, the neighbor only gave a cryptic warning she should leave while she still could. The house was not meant for someone seeking peace. But before any further explanation could come, the neighbor retreated indoors, leaving her alone with unsettling curiosity. That night, her sleep slipped once again into unease. As the clock reached midnight, a light breeze moved through the house, though no window was open. Then she saw it, the shadow again. This time, the shape lingered at her bedroom doorway, small, trembling, lost. The figure of a boy, slight shoulders, a lowered head, bare feet against cold wood. The silhouette suggested fear rather than mischief. But before she could move, it disappeared into thin air. She pressed her hands to her chest. This wasn't a trick of light. Something was inside the house, someone who needed help. Her determination to uncover the truth outweighed her fear. She began noticing more signs. Small handprints smudged across dusty surfaces, old toys appearing in corners as though placed with intention, faint marks on the walls like scratches from someone trying to escape. The house was revealing a story, one she hadn't asked to learn. Days later, while examining the top floor, she found a key hidden beneath a loose floor tile near the attic stairs. Her pulse hammered against her ribs as she approached the sealed attic door. The key slid in perfectly, as if it had been waiting only for her. The lock clicked open with the sound of a long-held secret gasping for air. Inside, the air turned cold, as though she had stepped into a forgotten winter. Dust blanketed every surface like a thin shroud. Small toys, a wooden train, a stuffed bear with a torn ear, a set of marbles lay scattered across the floor. A child's drawings hung on the walls, faded but hauntingly clear. Crude crayon sketches showed a house like hers, a woman who appeared angry, and a little boy hiding behind furniture. Some drawings had scribbled dark shapes towering over the child as if danger lived inside the home. Then she found the photograph, a boy around 7 years old with wide blue eyes and a timid smile. His face bore faint bruises. Fear lingered behind his attempt at happiness. Beneath the photograph was a name and a date, but both had been roughly torn away. She shivered as the sound of small feet echoed behind her. She turned. No one stood there, only the feeling of a presence desperate to be acknowledged. She carried the photograph to the neighbor's door that evening. The woman's face drained of color when she saw it. The truth spilled from her lips in a whisper. Years ago, the house belonged to a troubled family. The parents claimed they only had each other, but villagers often spotted a little boy peering out the attic window, frightened and alone. Then one day he disappeared. The parents insisted no child had ever lived there. Soon after, they moved away, leaving unanswered questions and a lingering sorrow that never left the walls. The woman went home trembling. The little boy she had glimpsed wasn't a dream or illusion. He was a trapped soul, seeking justice or freedom. She couldn't abandon him. Not now. That night, she left the attic door open and sat quietly at the bottom of the stairs. Time passed slowly until a cold rush drifted down the staircase. She looked up and once again saw the small shadow. This time it stood still, as if waiting for her to follow. She took a deep breath and climbed. She entered the attic with cautious steps. The boy fully materialized, pale skin, sad blue eyes, thin body dressed in worn pajamas. His face was not frightening, only filled with unbearable pain. He pointed toward a loose floorboard near the far wall. Every instinct told her to run, but something anchored her to the moment. She lifted the board. Hidden beneath were the tragic remains of what happened long ago. Broken toys stained with old blood, a small shoe, and documents indicating the boy had been secretly kept there. It was undeniable his life had been cut short by the very people meant to protect him. The horror of it tightened around her heart. Understanding what he needed, she called the authorities. They retrieved the evidence and opened a case long buried in silence. The parents were finally found and arrested, forced to answer for what they did to the innocent child they tried to erase from the world. When justice neared its resolution, the atmosphere within the house changed. The once chilling air became warm. The wooden floors no longer sounded like mournful cries. The house felt like it could finally breathe. One evening, as she prepared for bed, she sensed him again. The boy's figure emerged softly in the corner of her room. His eyes glimmered with relief rather than fear. He looked at her, a silent thank you before fading like a whisper into peace. After that night, the house was silent. Not the unsettling silence of before, but a calm serenity she had long searched for. She didn't move away. Instead, she embraced the home as a place where a painful past had been faced and healed. She planted flowers in the garden, hung new curtains in sunny rooms, and gave the house laughter it had been starved of for years. Sometimes, when the wind caressed the windows or sunlight fell perfectly on the walls, she imagined the child's spirit resting finally, knowing someone cared enough to reveal the truth. The house had once been a prison of secrets, but because of her courage, it transformed into a sanctuary of remembrance and justice.